Chapter 12, New Respect. My music was the only thing I had to keep me from losing my mind, and I was ready to finally finish and put it out. It was amazing. Track for track. I was totally shocked by the ideas, thoughts, and concepts that made my album come together. I always am, when it's good. I always feel blessed that I was given this great gift of mixing and measuring words to create an audio entree with my own secret recipe. It's always kept me safe and caused me to want to understand the world, the people, animals, and even the insects in it. Since I've been aware of purpose, I've felt like hip-hop was mine. This album was the best I'd done so far, and I was ready. Hopefully, this time, if I worked hard and got lucky, I'd get the deal I'd spent the last 20 years chasing. I had to make sure everything was straight with the kids before I started making my moves. I couldn't do to them what my father did to me. I warned Rita against spending time with her old friends, and it quickly caught up with her. She got jammed up, arrested, and I ended up having to take over until they were to let her go. Jakaya was 3, Lil Joe was 6, and Jada, who at the time was 12, ended up with her dad's side of the family since legally I had no rights to her. It was tough doing everything by myself, but it forced me to gain a new respect for my mother and any woman that was a single person raising a child alone. I did with the situation the same as I've done with many situations throughout my life. I put it in a song, wrote it, and called it New Respect. I was evolving. I never took credit for doing my job as a father, but the fact remains. A high percentage of children do not have their fathers playing active roles in their lives. I was one of those kids. I chose to be a part of the solution. I told the lady at my new job at the hospital I wanted to cook Thanksgiving for my kids, so she wrote down exactly how I had to prepare everything on a sheet of paper. I cooked everything: baked macaroni and cheese, lasagna, collard greens, stuffing, a cake, a couple of pies, cornbread, and last but not least, turkey. That we couldn't eat because I burned it, but I went and bought a whole chicken that was already cooked, and we used that. The kids were growing mentally, physically, and had a huge amount of energy being so young. They were live. It was tough, but honestly, I felt so blessed. The kids made it easy to feel that way. They knew exactly what was going on and never felt down about it, so that kept me in good spirits. I had money, and we always ate good. We went to the movies, the park, and always had activities. No matter how much I tried to explain to them, everything is going to be all right. They'd say things like, "Daddy, we got to do what we got to do." I stopped by my mom's in the Bronx a couple weeks after Thanksgiving, and my mom told Saitani that I'd stop by. Saitani called to set up a meeting with me, and I wanted to see my niece and nephew, so I was all for it. The weekend was here, so we met at a salon on Simpson Street in the Bronx, by the 2 train where my niece was getting her hair done. I was happy to see Saitani, and the kids were all happy to see each other. We sat, we talked, and waited till Niecy's hair was done. About 20 minutes into our reunion, a white BMW pulls up, and my father hops out. He says, "What's up, son?" Hugged me and had that same smell he's had since I was a little kid. I don't know if it was still jupe, but to me, it always smelled like money. I had mixed feelings about him and didn't appreciate Satani calling him there without telling me. I unenthusiastically said, "Hey, what's up?" He was in good spirits and the kids were happy to see him, so I wasn't going to spoil it. He asked how I was doing and I told him exactly. As usual, he couldn't stay because he was busy, but would set aside some time for us to sit and talk the following day. I said, cool. I don't know why, but I still had hope that maybe my father would one day come to my rescue. I needed it now more than ever. We said our goodbyes and they pulled off. The kids wanted to stop at the store before we went back upstairs. At that age, they were so easy to please. That's all they ever wanted. A few snacks and they were good. The next day, I met with my father at Dunkin' Donuts on Zariga Avenue in the Bronx. What I didn't know at the time was it would be 5 years from that day before I got to see or speak to my father again. It had been 2 years since I'd last seen him that day, and before that, it was 4. As I looked at him talking, it made me think about something. If I added up all the days in my entire life and how many times I'd sat face to face with him, like we were in that moment, it wouldn't have added up to more than 3 months total. I knew barely anything about him. I didn't know he wasn't born in the Bronx or that he was a Jehovah's Witness. Still, no matter how old I got, I craved that father-son relationship as much as I did when I was a little boy. I don't know why, but that feeling just wouldn't go away. To laugh with him, to sit and do nothing, to talk and joke. I've been through so much and have overcome so many obstacles, but that flat piece of cement lays weighing down on my chest like music. It's a part of me, another one of my arteries. I let my guard down as usual, began talking about my music and how I had a new sound and a new name. I told him my name wasn't JayFlo anymore. He asked, "So what is it?" I said, "Jojo Dawson." He crunched his face up like something stunk and said, "Ooh, Joe." He loved it. He said, "Okay, Joseph Sadler," calling me by my government name. "Why Jojo Dawson?" "Well, I already got your name, so I wanted to use my mother's name." "Wow, Joe. Dope. Let me hear the music." He'd suggested years ago I dumb it down, and since that's how a lot of the music on the radio was, I gave in. I decided it wasn't about being the best rapper anymore. I had 2 children to support and really needed to get on. I'd spent my whole life making music and I didn't know how, nor did I want to do anything else. My father heard the change in my sound and liked the music as much as anyone I'd previously played it for, but gave me every reason why it would never work. He brought up how it cost money for promotions, production, I needed connections for features, me having the kids by myself would get in the way, yada, yada, yada. He never once came up with a way we could make it work. I myself know there's always a way to make something work if you work hard enough at it. He's never helped anyone but himself, and it finally set in. I wasn't going to be an exception. I even thought to myself, why did he have us meet at a Dunkin' Donuts instead of his house? He was the same. My father was not interested in me. To me, I felt like he was only there to see what I was up to and still saw me as a threat. He was just checking out what he feels is his competition. I kept it cool, had a few more minutes of empty chatter, grabbed my CD, and told him I needed to head out. He was upbeat, said bye to the kids, pulled out $300 and handed it to me. I reluctantly accepted because I had the kids and knew I could use it. I felt humiliated, ashamed, and embarrassed that I'd been in such a vulnerable position. I thanked him, gave him a hug, a pound, got the kids, and headed to my car. After I was better situated with the kids, I got my old job back at Grand Prix. Found a place an hour outside of New York City in Poughkeepsie, New York, and paid $2,700 for first and last month's rent. The Bronx has always been rough. I adapted. I did not want my kids to. It was a blessing because at least I didn't have to buy any new furniture. We were already fully furnished from our previous place. The kids liked the house, but didn't like being outside of New York City because they always got to see their cousins. My Aunt Barbara always did things with them, and they loved their schools. By this time, my daughter was 6 and Joe was 9. I'd had them for almost 3 years by myself before their mom got them back. I kept working at Grand Prix. I'd finally, after years of struggling, gotten to a point in my life where I felt proud of myself. I was ready to move forward, toward joy, and away from my pain. I'd come a long way. A year later, I decided once again I wanted to cook Thanksgiving for the kids, so I went food shopping, got them a new Xbox system, a few games, and enjoyed the holiday. This time, I didn't attempt a turkey. I cooked a huge spread and baked a whole chicken. We had great times in that house, but things were about to change drastically.